Welcome to the skimming and scanning lesson. Now, before we dive into skimming and scanning, let's talk about speed reading. What is speed reading? It may be used to read every word slowly and carefully to understand every sentence of the text. But on the IELTS reading test, you are limited in time and it's impossible to read attentively all the information. But how to read more in less time? One way is to use speed reading, which means quickly reading the text according to your purpose, getting only the information you need. So we'll dive into the speed reading techniques through skimming and scanning. Now, what is skimming? Skimming means quickly reading the text to get only its main idea. And to skim effectively, you need to read only a part of the material. You have already encountered skimming when reading a long chapter of a book or researching a long article. In such a case, you would probably read the first sentences of each paragraph, dropping down to the end of the paragraph. So how do we skim? First step, read the first paragraph attentively to get an idea of what will be discussed in the text. Second, read the first and sometimes the second sentence of each paragraph so they give the main idea of the paragraph. Third step, after you've read the first sentences, your eyes should drop down to the end of the paragraph looking for important pieces of information such as dates, names, places. And lastly, read the last paragraph attentively as it may contain the summary. So here is an example of a skimming exercise. So we have here the article, What is Capitalism? So first step, attentively read the first and the last paragraphs. And then next, read only the first sentence for these body paragraphs and then drop down to the end looking for key details. So here, the key details have already been underlined for you. Now let's go to scanning. What is scanning? Scanning means searching for specific phrases in the text to answer some questions. Underline. The questions on the IELTS reading test often includes dates, names, numbers, new terms, and other keywords. So it's a very good idea to underline those keywords while reading. So you could find the answers in the text more easily. Now, how do we scan? First step, underline the important information while reading the text, such as dates, numbers, and names, etc. And then second step, when you read the question, identify the keyword and scan the text for it. This way, you'll find the answer more quickly. So again, let's go back to the article, What is Capitalism? So in scanning, you look for specific keywords, such as social system, capitalist, profit. Now let's do some practice. Like on a real IELTS reading test, you have to read the text and answer the questions that follow. First of all, let's practice skimming. When reading a text for the first time, you should skim over it to grasp the main idea. In this example, read the highlighted text and quickly look over the rest of the text. You have about 1 to 2 minutes. So here is the passage. Are electric cars really eco-friendly? So you can pause the video and you have 2 minutes to read this passage. Now, after you have skimmed the text, you should get the general idea. So the general idea is one man imported an electric car to Singapore and was fined for that because the car was considered as a polluter. It turned out that electric cars can also be dangerous for the environment because the electric energy used to charge them is produced at power station which emit pollutants. Now let's go through the question. One, what is the aim of this text? A, to discourage people from visiting Singapore. Letter B, to prove that electric cars are less eco-friendly than fossil fuel powered machines. Or letter C, to show that we need to count the emissions of power stations to see how green an electric car is. Now this question can be answered immediately after you skim over the text. Here, you're required to understand only the main idea of the passage. Obviously, the correct answer is C. It's also stated in the last paragraph, but what about the bigger picture? Should we be factoring in the emissions of power stations when working out how green an electric car is? The logical answer is yes. Now let's go to question number 2. When the owner of the electric car went to Singapore, he received A, a rebate of around US 10,800, or B, a fine of around 10,800 US dollars, or C, a fine of around 15,000 US dollars. So in this question, unlike the previous one, requires specific detail, the amount of money. So to answer it, you should scan the text for words 10,800 and 15,800. Don't read the text again. Just search these two keywords. Once you have found the right sentence, read it attentively to get the answer. Now, the sentence that contains these keywords is in the third paragraph. Instead of an expected rebate of around 15,000 or 10,800 US dollars, he received a fine of the same amount for being a gross polluter. So now it's clear to us that the correct answer is B. Now let's go to question 3. To prove that electric car was a gross polluter, the authorities in Singapore calculated the blank of generating the electricity to charge the car. Now, after you have skimmed over the article, you should know that the Singapore authorities and charging car were mentioned somewhere in the middle of the text. Moreover, you have another clue. The answer should be after the answer to question 3. So you can find the right answer by these keywords: authorities in Singapore and electricity to charge a car. If you scan the text for these keywords, you will find the answer in the fourth paragraph. The Singapore authorities calculated the carbon cost of generating electricity that will be used to charge the car. So the correct answer is carbon cost.